From stricter anti-doping measures to controversial social media restrictions, here are the new strict rules Olympic athletes must follow. The Olympics are about to get even tougher for athletes, not just in terms of competition, but also with the new strict rules they have to follow. Athletes at the Paris Olympics will face enhanced testing protocols. The new measures mean more frequent and stringent doping tests, including out-of-competition testing. This means that athletes could be tested anytime, anywhere, not just during competitions. These tests are more advanced and designed to catch even the smallest traces of banned substances, making it much harder for anyone trying to cheat the system. But it doesn't stop there. Retroactive testing is now a significant part of the anti-doping strategy. Samples taken from athletes during the 2024 Olympics will be stored for up to 10 years. This allows the IOC, the International Olympic Committee, to retest samples as technology improves, potentially catching cheaters years after the fact. This long-term approach aims to preserve the integrity of Olympic competition and ensure that medals are awarded fairly. These changes have not come without controversy, though. Many athletes have expressed concerns over their privacy and the stress that constant monitoring brings. Being subjected to random tests at any time can be quite invasive and can add to the pressure athletes already face. Some argue that while these measures are essential for fair play, they also create a climate of suspicion and anxiety among competitors at the peak of their careers. The athlete backlash highlights a broader debate within the sports community. On one side, there's a strong push for clean sports and fairness, but on the other, there's a growing concern about the mental and emotional toll these regulations take on athletes. It's a delicate balance between maintaining integrity in sports and respecting the personal space and mental well-being of these athletes that have sacrificed everything to be there. These stricter anti-doping measures are a significant shift in how the Olympics are regulated, aiming to make the competition as fair as possible but also raising important questions about the costs of such rigorous enforcement. Next is a large topic of discussion, which is the new rules regarding transgender athlete eligibility. The IOC has introduced stricter testosterone level regulations for transgender athletes. These new rules are designed to ensure fair competition by setting specific testosterone limits that must be met for at least 12 months prior to the competition. This means transgender athletes must undergo regular testing to prove they meet these criteria well in advance of the games. These changes have sparked intense debates on both sides. Supporters argue that these regulations are necessary to maintain a level playing field, ensuring that all athletes compete under similar conditions. They believe that without such rules, the integrity of the competition could be compromised, potentially giving some athletes an unfair advantage. However, these rules have also led to high-profile exclusions and heated discussions about the balance between fair competition and human rights. Some are claiming that the new regulations are too restrictive and place too much pressure on transgender athletes, making it even more challenging for them to compete at the highest level. They argue that the focus should be on inclusivity and support, rather than exclusion and stringent requirements. One of the most controversial aspects of these rules is the impact on competitions. The criteria has led to the exclusion of some transgender athletes who have previously competed, causing significant public and media backlash. These decisions have highlighted the ongoing struggle to balance fairness in sports with the rights and recognition of transgender individuals. Athletes have voiced strong opinions on both sides. For instance, transgender weightlifter Laurel Hubbard, who competed in the Tokyo 2020 Olympics, faced significant scrutiny and pressure. Hubbard has expressed concerns that the new rules could deter transgender athletes from participating in sports, fearing exclusion and discrimination. On the other hand, athletes like Martina Navratilova, a tennis legend, has supported stricter regulations, arguing that they are necessary to ensure fairness in women's sports. Navratilova has emphasized that biological differences can provide transgender women with advantages that need to be addressed through regulation to ensure the games are kept fair. But the fairness debate also touches on athletes who may already face disadvantages. For example, female athletes who naturally have higher testosterone levels but do not meet the criteria for medical exemptions might find themselves unfairly targeted by these rules. This raises questions about how to balance inclusivity with competitive fairness without discriminating against any group of athletes. The controversy surrounding these eligibility rules underscores the complex nature of gender in sports. As the IOC navigates these uncharted waters, the debate continues, with athletes, fans, and experts all weighing in on what constitutes fair and inclusive competition. Next, let's dive into the new gender-specific uniform requirements. The IOC has implemented stricter guidelines on the modesty and appropriateness of athletic uniforms. particularly focusing on female athletes. These rules dictate that uniforms must meet specific standards of modesty to respect cultural and religious beliefs while ensuring they are suitable for competition. I mean, let's face it, we all know some of the things the women wear can be quite revealing. This change comes after several high-profile incidents where athletes have been criticized or penalized for their uniforms. For example, the Norwegian women's beach handball team was fined for wearing shorts instead of the mandated bikini bottoms, arguing that the uniforms were impractical and uncomfortable. The new rules aim to prevent such controversies by providing clearer guidelines on what is acceptable and what is not. However, these uniform regulations have sparked significant debate. Many athletes and fans argue that these rules are too prescriptive and do not consider the practical needs of the athletes. For instance, some sports require more freedom of movement, and stricter uniform requirements could hinder performance. Athletes like German gymnast Sarah Voss have publicly criticized the regulations, advocating for the right to choose what they feel comfortable wearing without facing penalties or backlash. The public response has been pretty polarizing. While some support the move as a step towards respecting diverse cultural and religious backgrounds, others see it as a step backward in terms of personal freedom and expression. The debate highlights the ongoing struggle to balance tradition, respect, and modern views on personal autonomy. These new uniform rules also raise questions about gender equality. Female athletes, in particular, feel that these regulations are often more restrictive for them than for their male counterparts, which ultimately creates a double standard. This has led to calls for more inclusive and flexible guidelines that consider both practical and personal needs while maintaining respect for cultural differences. Next, let's talk about the new social media and sponsorship restrictions. The IOC has introduced tighter social media rules that limit what athletes can post about, especially for sponsors who are not official Olympic partners during the Games period. This means that athletes cannot promote or mention their personal sponsors if those sponsors are not associated with the Olympics. The aim is to protect the interests of official Olympic sponsors who invest significantly in the Games. This has led to the introduction of strict brand conflict regulations. Athletes are required to comply with guidelines that prevent them from promoting non-official sponsors, both on their social media accounts and during any public appearances at the Games. Violations of these rules can result in penalties, including fines and potential disqualifications from events. The new social media restrictions have sparked a commercial freedom debate among athletes and fans. Many athletes rely on personal endorsements to support their training and careers, and these new rules limit their ability to monetize their fame during one of the most high-profile periods of their lives. For example, athletes like sprinter Allyson Felix, who has a range of personal sponsorships, have voiced concerns that these restrictions unfairly limit their earning potential and autonomy. Supporters of the regulations argue that the rules are necessary to ensure a clear and consistent marketing environment, which is crucial for the financial viability of the Olympics. Official sponsors invest millions of dollars in the Games, and these investments are essential for the event's success. Protecting these sponsors' interests is seen as vital to maintaining the financial support that makes the Olympics possible. Really, the main controversy lies in the balance of control that the IOC has over athletes' commercial activities. Some argue that the restrictions are too tight and do not consider the evolving nature of athlete sponsorships in the digital age. Social media has become a key platform for athletes to connect with fans and sponsors, and limiting this outlet can be seen as a step backward. The fairness of these restrictions is a hot topic. While the IOC aims to protect the financial integrity of the Games, the limitations placed on athletes' commercial freedoms during the peak of their visibility raises questions about their rights to capitalize on their success. As athletes continue to navigate these rules, the debate over commercial freedom and fair play will likely continue to evolve. So those are just a few of the new strict rules the athletes will have to follow. It seems like the Games are really trying to maintain their original purity, but will it go too far that it takes away from the actual enjoyment of the skill and talent on show? I guess only time will tell.